We have lived in the Airstream full-time for 2 years. All 4 of us. All 4 of us.
It's true, you know.
Yeah. And so today, we are going to reflect back on the last 2 years and figure out the 10 things.
No, don't eat the mic. She was eating the mic troll.
The 10 things, well, I guess 5 things we've done right, and 5 things we've done wrong, living in our Airstream full-time.
Things we've completely screwed the pooch on.
I can't believe it's been 2 years.
2 short years.
We've loved every minute of it. Okay, 5 things we did wrong in terms of living with our and traveling in our Airstream.
We had a hard time narrowing this down, by the way.
Okay.
Because there's so many.
Size matters.
Could have gone smaller.
Yeah, we could have gone smaller. It's actually not that big of a deal. We're not going to change out our Airstream. We really
Not
like
at this
it.
point.
But everybody tells you go for the biggest RV that you can afford or that you can handle. And for us, that's not actually good advice. We should have...
I think for a lot of people...
It's not. It depends on your life, on what you're looking for. But
yes.
For us, we should have gone smaller.
Just know the bigger your rig, the more it's going to take to pull, maintain, and...
Limits.
Well,
there'll be limits.
Yeah, limits where
we've talked about
where
limits.
You can
I'll
go.
link to a video where we've talked about limits with our 30-foot before. Another thing we should have done that we did not do was lift the Airstream. We have friends who have lifted their Airstreams. Airstreams are very low to the ground.
They are notoriously low.
And we've had issues with that, such as bottoming out really badly in Sun Valley. So we probably should have just lifted the Airstream. And we still haven't lifted our Airstream, and that is in the plans for possibly later this year. So
we'll see.
Yeah. Another thing we did wrong was we got a manual transmission truck. Now, this is only something we did wrong because of me. I had never driven a manual. I had never driven a truck that big. And it turns out I am very uncomfortable with that combination. And so I never drove when we had our manual transmission truck.
I loved the manual transmission. But it's all good.
Yeah.
I will say backing up with the Airstream will be much easier with an automatic.
Yes.
But that's really the only thing I didn't like. That was a really strong Airstream puller.
Yeah.
Our old 2008 Dodge Ram.
Yeah.
But we've upgraded, so it's all good.
It's all good. Lesson learned that we should have just realized that I should have realized that I was not going to be comfortable, but I guess I didn't know, so now we know.
Now we do.
Yeah. Check your tires. Public service announcement.
So, like right now, pause the video and go out and check your tires?
At some point. Yeah, we did a mistakes made over our travels. I'll link to it up above. And one of our biggest mistakes was the fact that we had a pretty massive tire blowout.
We were going to replace the tires that year anyway.
Yeah.
But apparently we waited a little bit too long.
Yeah. So even though they might still be good in terms of it looks like wear, it looks like age, you are pulling a very large trailer behind you, and be safe. Safe is better than sorry when it comes to tires. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the last thing that we have done wrong, and we continue to do wrong, this is kind of a reminder to both of us, is we put off maintenance. So things like our drawers being broken for the past year and we just deal with it, or our fantastic fan having a broken piece and it still works, but it's really ugly, we deal with it, and stuff like that, where we just fixed both of those things this week and they both took under 5 minutes.
So we could have done this a year ago.
Yeah. So we need to be better about if something breaks, research how hard it is to fix it and maybe just try. And if it doesn't work, then you can try to figure it out later. But usually it's a lot easier than we might make it out to be. And keeping up on maintenance is important in anything, but in an RV, when it's bouncing down these bumpy roads, you have things break. And if you actually keep up on the maintenance, you'll probably have less problems overall than if you don't.
Keeping up on maintenance would result in fewer problems.
Yes, it would. Okay, so those are our 5 things we did wrong. The 5 things we did right in the past 2 years living in our Airstream. We bought our Airstream. It is a 2005 Airstream Classic that was in really good condition and only really need cosmetic updates.
They did nothing on the inside.
No.
Absolutely. It was bone dock.
Yes.
On the inside.
But that was the only issue with it. Like,
Yeah.
it's in great, like, it's old, right? So we've had to do some replacements of things because it's older and things wear out, like our water pump or whatever. But in general, it's in really good condition, and we didn't have to do a giant renovation. We didn't have to really do much of anything. Almost everything he did was just upgrades or cosmetic.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in buying used, especially for your first rig. Because you don't necessarily know. Usually, your first rig isn't going to be your only rig. And just like cars, RVs depreciate so fast when you drive them off the line or pull them off the line in this case. So not buying new saved us probably $100,000 with the cost of Airstreams. But just in general, buying used, you're going to let somebody else pay for the depreciation as you get a feel for what you like and what you don't, and then maybe buying something new in the future might be right, but especially for the first one, which this is our first one and likely our only one, buying used was a that was a good choice.
Yes, used but not too used, because we did not take on a giant renovation. We talked about that in a past Tuesday talk, that is not something we were interested in doing for a number of reasons. I'll link to that. Our Airstream could be perfectly livable from the moment we bought it, and that was right for us.
That's right.
Because we moved right into it, so it's good that it was livable.
Yes.
Another thing we did right was we got it all set up for boondocking, even though we didn't know how much we'd actually do. We just assumed we would, and so we got solar, and we set up our composting toilet, and what else did we do? We made sure that it had an oven, a propane-powered oven. So a lot of Airstreams now come with only a convection oven microwave, and that was a no-go for me. I said, because we plan on boondocking a lot, and
You need the oven.
I need the oven because
Which
I don't
runs on
know.
propane and not electric.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of electric situation I will have, and that ended up being a very good decision for us. And so the fact that we got all set up for boondocking, not even knowing whether it was going to be worth it and if we were going to like boondocking, ended up being a very good decision because we love boondocking.
The oven, solar, composting toilet, Volterra shutoff valve, those four things completely streamlined our ability to boondock.
Yeah.
Well, the cell booster we would need whether we're boondocking or not.
Some campgrounds you can get away with it, but yeah, it really did make a absolutely huge difference. We also bought, as much as I said that the manual transmission was something we did wrong, we also bought the right trucks for our lifestyle. Both of them.
3/4 ton diesels.
Yes.
Diesel, or eco. Sorry, easy for me to say. Eco Boost, which are really close in their pulling power to diesel.
Yeah.
So that was a good choice.
We don't buy new, partly because we're frugal, and partly just because you never buy new.
I don't buy new.
Yeah.
I did. Well, I have.
Oh, I've never bought new.
But I've spent a lot more money than I should have in the past by buying new. So we buy used now, and we've never had a problem with buying used, so long as you know what you're buying.
Yeah. So we bought the right size truck, power truck for us and for the Airstream, and that's very important. We did a video about that as well, about making sure you pick the right rig for tow vehicle for what your rig is.
Yes.
And
towing power and payload, those are the two big ones. And the 3/4 ton truck works perfect for those mid-range trailers, as ours is. In fact, ours is on the heavier end of the mid-range trailers.
We also, what we did right is the renovations we did were for better living, and they made a huge difference. So our major renovations that we have done is we took out the dinette and put in Steve's desk.
Huge.
And we took out the carpet and put in vinyl flooring. The desk made Steve's quality of life much higher because you spend a lot of time at your computer.
Oh, it's night and day. There's no comparison.
And we didn't use the dinette to eat, so there was no reason to have that there. And now the desk is used probably more than anything else.
I love that
except
desk.
Maybe the bed in the entire Airstream. So,
yeah.
And then the flooring, boondocking again, and having dogs, and
rip out that carpet.
We ripped out that carpet. We put down the vinyl floor. It makes it so much easier to clean and keep clean, even when we are boondocking and trying not to use any power.
10 minutes, Done.
Yeah, you could do it by hand. It's just
nice.
so much easier. So that was a very, very good decision in terms of renovation and time and money spent.
Indeed it was.
Yeah, though it was a pain in the butt. Well, at least the trim was. Okay, my 10th thing, what we did right, or the 5th what we did right total. We always followed our safety checklist, pretty much, and that is what ensured that we stayed safe. We made stupid mistakes, and we've discussed those.
Oh, yes, we have.
But we had safe moving days. We always made sure that everything was good. We didn't have major breakages. Nothing ever bad like that happened. And that is because we followed our safety checklists every single time we moved. Mm-hmm. And we'll continue doing that once we start traveling again.
Remember the rock we backed into?
Yeah, that was my fault.
But that was not
because of a safety checklist.
That was not
Again,
a safety checklist
even
failure.
with the safety checklist, you can do things. Things can go wrong. You can have tire blowouts, things like that. But if you have a safety checklist, then at least you have a much better chance of having a safe travel day. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to add one more here. This is our bonus of what we did right.
This is going on 11 minutes. Sorry it's so long, but we have a lot to talk about.
Yes. Bonus, what we did right. We just did it. We went for it. We decided we wanted to buy an Airstream and move into it, and we did. We sold all of our stuff. We sold our house, and we just jumped right in. The Airstream had not been renovated, and we made it work. We learned.
Yeah, sooner or later, you just got to do it. Even if your goal isn't to sell everything and buy a trailer, if you're researching for years on the right trailer for you,
or any big life decision,
eventually,
really.
Just, especially if you buy new, or used rather, just try it and see. The worst that can happen is you trade it out for something else. You might lose some money, but at least you're not still in your same position. You are actively, going forward and trying to accomplish whatever your goals happen to be.
Yeah.
So just eventually you have to jump right in and just see what works by experience.
I had been in an RV once. Not lived in or done anything. I had been inside of an RV once before we bought our Airstream. Yeah.
That
Never
was my
camped.
parents' RV, wasn't it?
It was your parents' RV. Never camped. And we moved into an Airstream. And we learned. We have come such a long way from 2 years ago when we first moved into the Airstream. And I love our life, and I'm so glad that we have done everything that we have done. Even the things we did wrong, because we've learned from them. And hopefully now you will learn from them too.
More or less, if you have a positive attitude, it's probably going to work just fine.
It is.
Which is good.
So thank you, guys, for following along in our journey and for joining us at some point over the last 2 years, and hopefully continuing to follow us, because in less than a month's time, we will be leaving Tucson again, finally, and starting to travel again. So stay tuned for some fun adventures, probably more learning along the way.
Most likely. Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.